So I grew up in a really small town. The place, as one might know it on the map, is Fort Erie, Ontario. It's a border town to Buffalo, New York, flanking the Niagara River. And actually the municipality that I grew up in within Fort Erie, Crystal Beach, is even smaller. It's got a population of about 9,000 people. So when you live in a small community of 9,000 people, you can imagine there's a lot of things you don't grow up with. Public transit, post that comes to your door, and definitely no queer visibility. Definitely no queer bars, no groups, support groups or social groups, or really anything that flagged queer during my whole childhood, except for myself. So I left Crystal Beach when I was about 15, 16. I was out in Vancouver by the time I was 17. And for many, many years I didn't look back. And in fact, I would say that my childhood and its utter lack of anything queer or radical or progressive or anything that reflected who I was in any way really made me nervous to be there. Nothing crazy happened to me. I had threats. I was never bashed, fortunately, but I just didn't want to be there. I never wanted to go back. And then in 2006, I was writing my master's thesis, and I just wasn't getting through it, and I thought, I'm going to go home where there's nothing to do and finish writing my book at home. So it doesn't matter how the thesis went, whatever, I didn't get it done on that trip. But one day I'm out with my ma, and we're walking through like a little farmer's market craft kind of fair outside down by the lake, Lake Erie that would be. And we're just looking at things, gems and crochet, little old ladies crocheting and stuff like that. And I hear someone yell my ma's name, Sandra, Sandra. And I turn around and it's this rugged, robust butch lesbian, and I was like, what is happening here? And I thought to myself, oh, it's just one of these like more rural ladies, you know, they look a bit more tough. But then I noticed another woman beside her who was really flagging queer to me as well, and I looked at my mom and she said, oh, those are the lesbians that own the video store. We've become friends. And I don't think I spoke as these two women approached my mom, and they exchanged sort of hugs and kisses, and my mom had mentioned that we had walked to the craft fair because I try to make my mom exercise, and her new lesbian friends offered us a ride in the back of their Jeep. So we were thrown into the back of the Jeep and drove the back roads, and I'm listening to the conversation my ma is having with these two women, and they're asking her things like, oh, are you going to go to Stephen and Peter's picnic next Sunday? And I'm starting to realize there's this whole queer world. I don't know how large. I mean, it could be 10, it could have been 5, it could have been 30 people that have all settled in Crystal Beach, some of them born and raised there, and some had just sort of run away from Toronto or from New York City and decided Crystal Beach was this small, quiet place where they could live a queer life. And that was a pivotal moment for me, because I decided I didn't have to be afraid in my hometown anymore, and that maybe I didn't have to be afraid of my small town roots anymore, and maybe there isn't a place where I can't be a visibly queer person. Maybe I can go just about anywhere and be who I am.